So, Led by Donkeys released a video recently in Clacton going after Nigel Farage, and I'm going to explain why this is actually ineffective. So, as you've seen then, they've pointed out all the money Farage makes outside of being an MP. This is, of course, a problem, and I'm not criticising them on facts because, well, it's true. But I want to talk about how ineffective it is, because at the end of the day, that is what matters. Now, Led by Donkeys is a liberal outlet. I and myself have criticised them for going after the likes of Farage and the Tories, yet they don't seem to want to go after Labour. But this isn't the basis of the video today. Rather, this is an analysis about them and also the wider liberal left, more liberal, in terms of being effective against the radical and far right. And guess what? We kind of suck. Of course, a lot of that comes from the fact that liberals absolutely hate us, and so many examples we've seen over the course of history that they would prefer to side with the far right than the left. But again, this isn't the focus of the video. To be fair, Led by Donkeys sometimes do some really good work like this video. The message here is that Farage doesn't care about immigration unless it's working class people. They did an expose on how Farage has worked with companies and vulture capitalists to make it easier that the very rich and capital can flow between borders. So he's only against workers crossing borders, but for the very rich, well, that's fine. And they prove here that he's not principled, but rather that he's anti-working class like he's always been. Now, I don't know how effective that video actually is, but at least that is a message. But the campaigns they usually do, specifically with this Clacton one, I think does nothing. Why? People don't care. Pointing out that Farage makes loads of money outside of being an MP, no one cares. People need to understand that Farage isn't popular. I mean, his poll ratings show that, but that also doesn't matter. I mean, look at the rise of Reform. Now, why is that when its leader is actually really unpopular? How is that possible? Again, because people don't care. A lot of people have and will vote for Farage knowing that he's a bad guy. A lot of people will vote for him despite not liking him. Why? If you point out that, oh, look, Farage has done this and he's done that, what do people say? They say, yeah, I know, but every other politician is corrupt, so it doesn't really matter, but at least he's honest. That attack has been completely nullified because people like Led by Donkeys and others think that if we just tell people the truth and expose this or expose that, people will listen. No. And I think liberals have this idea that the truth will prevail. Maybe not every liberal, but too many people are wedded to the idea that truth is the key. And we just need to show that to people, and that's what matters. I'm sorry to break it to you, but the truth does not matter at all. People vote on vibes. Think about Donald Trump. Of course, his cult followers love him, and there's not really much point reaching out to these people because they're in a cult. But what about the millions who voted for him who aren't in his cult? All these people don't think he's a good guy. They know he's a piece of shit, but they still voted for him. So what am I saying here? I'm saying that facts in isolation mean nothing. I'm saying that if you show someone is corrupt, people don't care. Farage is taking a shitload of money from GB News whilst being an MP, and even though there is a conflict of interest there, people once again will say, again, every other politician is corrupt, so actually, good for him. What we need to do is create a message. It's no good pointing out bad things. That's not effective. Saying Farage gets hundreds of thousands of pounds from GB News means nothing. But if we say Farage makes hundreds of thousands of pounds and here's why that's bad for you, then we have a chance. What we should be saying is Farage is an MP and he writes laws and he makes loads of money as a media commentator. Now, the point of our media is there to hold power to account. So politicians shouldn't be working in the media. That's a huge conflict of interest. Pointing out that Elon Musk is giving hundreds of millions of pounds to Reform means nothing. But pushing the message that Elon Musk, who hates the working class, who has always done his best to stop his own workers unionising, now wants to interfere in our political system so he can increase his own power and wealth and sees Reform as a vehicle to do that, that's far more effective because that is a message. That's what politics is all about, creating a simple and powerful message. And the right do that effectively. And the left, I mean, they have the policies and sometimes they have the message too. But organisations like Led by Donkeys don't, and they need to know that. Otherwise, they'll keep making the same mistake over and over again.
Support independent media. Support social justice that's there on social media. Thank you. Turn left.